All right, so we're here asking questions to Paloma Robles, part of my team, and we're talking about city life versus rural life, buying inside the city, buying outside in the suburbs. So I've got a couple questions for you. And the first one is when somebody comes to you and they're unsure about whether they should buy in the city or a suburb or maybe something with land outside the city, what do you do? How do you guide them? What do you tell them to help guide them better?
Well, it's really about asking questions and getting to the needs of what they want. So, for instance, if you're thinking that you want to be closer to downtown, is that because you work downtown or is it because you work remotely and maybe you want to be close to the city, close to your friends, being able to go and just grab food real quickly? Or are you thinking you want a little bit more of suburban life? Do you have kids? Are they in school? What kind of schools are you looking for? So, really getting an idea of what their lifestyle is and the needs that they have as a family.
I think that's very important. The needs. Like, that's my biggest one. Do you need land? Well, I just want, okay, so you don't need it. You maybe want it. And that's nothing wrong with
Right.
that. But what are your needs? So, what type of buyer do you see is buying inside the city?
That's a good question. From what I've seen, I recently had a buyer who bought in the city. They were looking more for something that they could eventually start to rent out. So they wanted something with some potential to rent out. It was more of an investment opportunity at that moment. But there are people who I think if you're looking more for living in the city, you maybe don't have kids because I tend to find that people in the suburban area they might already have a family. So the city is going to be maybe a little bit single or a couple.
Okay. And I think it's kind of interesting to understand. City life is, we're talking about like very central Austin,
Mm-hmm.
downtown, East Austin, very central. When we're talking about suburban, we're talking on the outskirts, Round Rock, Southwest Austin, Kyle. When we're talking ranch or country with land, we're talking maybe Elgin, Dale, Cedar Creek. So there is kind of three phases of the type of buyer. It's not just inside the city or outside the city, right?
Yeah.
So what type of person are you seeing in the suburbs? You kind of touched on that. And what type of person are you seeing buying land?
Yeah, so for the suburbs, like I mentioned, it's definitely more families, and they really want more square footage, a bigger home, and backyards are becoming very important as well. They want to have a big enough area for the kids to be able to play. So that I definitely see more looking for a suburban type of lifestyle. Land, though, land, it's really mixed in there. Some people, this may be their first purchase and it's going to be land because it can be a little bit more cost effective initially for them. Other folks that I'm seeing, they're buying an investment property. They want to have that land and then eventually start to build on it. Um, I recently had a single mother buy land and she wants to be able to build a home for her daughters. So
Yeah.
that's really important for a lot of people.
Yeah, I think the people who say they want land, they want the no restrictions, the 1 to 2 acres, they want elbow room. It's not necessarily they need it, but they just want to have that elbow room. I feel a lot of people also just their upbringing, where they came from, maybe it was more the whole idea of having land, in Spanish, the rancho, the ranch.
Hmm.
Um, but I also think that not everybody needs land like they think. We've come across a listing recently where um, the wife was like, "I'm done." She's like, "We have no time to cut the grass. We have no time to keep it up. All we're doing is piling up junk with the
Yeah.
land. So we want to get into something that's more suburban neighborhood. We have kids. We want them to go to better schools.
Hmm.
So I do see that change also."
I also want to say some people who are very interested in land is people who are newer to the country. This getting land to them is like the American dream.
Yeah,
They're
true.
fulfilling that fantasy, not a fantasy, but they're fulfilling their dream of getting the land that they've always wanted, and it's giving making them feel like a little piece of back home as well. I've got my ranchito, I've got my space, my family can come. It's a real sense of pride and accomplishment from them.
So, in your opinion, of the three, downtown or in city living, suburban living and outside rural living, we'll call it, what is the best investment?
The best investment, in my opinion, is going to be suburban living.
Okay.
And that is because you can get into a good community, build some wealth, stay there for 5 to 10 years, have that family home. It doesn't have to be your home forever, but it can be a nice family home that you're going to be in for 5 to 10 years. When you go to sell, you are going to triple your money.
And typically, why? Because what happens, for instance, if you buy rural, nothing wrong with that. If you buy the one with no restrictions, nothing wrong with that. But you build your dream home, and we've seen this, and no restrictions. What happens next door to you?
They trash it out. They
Yeah.
just trash it out.
They build a tire shop, or they put a very undesirable property. Well, then your value just went down. So again, be careful when you ask for no restrictions, right?
Yeah, because no restrictions can give you this gorgeous custom built home right next to you. I mean, I'm talking gorgeous with no restrictions, right? But then your next door neighbor could have this pink house that's just got all these cars parked in the
Yeah.
driveway. It's got the cows in the backyard and the horses. Do you want that next to your custom
Yeah.
home?
And again, it's not an issue maybe while you're living there, but when you go to sell it, the desirability.
Right.
On the other hand, central living or city living, I think is good. We know that values appreciate a lot faster
Mhm.
in the city, but I think they also have to consider that um, more people, more families are drawn to the suburbs.
Yeah.
And I know I use the word cookie cutter neighborhoods, master plan communities. They just tend to draw people in better. The schools, they're planned. That's why they're called master plan communities. And I think that they're just easier investments to buy and sell versus other higher risk.
I agree with that 100%. And keeping in mind that most of these homes that are suburban homes are going to be minimum 3 bedroom, 2 bath, 1,500 square feet. And that's going to be the most popular. You want that minimum. Living in the city, you might get a little bit smaller. You might just get a 2 bedroom, 1 bath. So people aren't going to be as drawn to that as they are the 3-2.
Yeah, that's a good point. So, have you ever had experience where a client just came in and they were just set on they want something, or they wanted a neighborhood, or they wanted an area, and then you showed them something else and they just changed?
Yes, I have, of course.
Want to tell us about that?
No, just kidding. Yes, of course. So I did have some clients come to me, and this happens quite a bit still. They might be interested in a resale home in a particular area of town, and I'm like, great, this is a great location. We talk about bedrooms, 3 bedroom, 2 bath, wonderful. They're like, I only want resale. I don't want a new build because I don't want to be part of an HOA.
Mm-hmm.
Not a problem. However, let me tell you why a new build might be in your best interest, even if there is an HOA in place. And they're like, okay, well, send me some. Send them some information about the new build homes. When I show them the price, when I show them the incentives that they're going to get and the interest rate, there's a little light bulb that goes off and kind of makes sense. But we're not done yet, right? I want to show them what they asked for.
All right.
So we're going to go look at resale homes. That's the first one we went to go look at. We looked at 2 resale homes. Same night we went and looked at a new build home. That same night we went under contract on the new build home. Why? Because they were able to see the difference. That yes, although initially she had this idea of what she thought she really wanted, but when she saw what she could get within her budget, it didn't make sense to look at the resale anymore.
Yeah, I think that happens so many times. Like they want an area because maybe they grew up there, right?
Mm-hmm.
But then when they see what they can get versus a price versus a new home or outside this area, or another one is land. They want that 5 acre tract, but they see at their price point what 5 acres costs them with they get a trailer, or they go get a nice home in a nice neighborhood. a lot of times they'll change.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
And sometimes, one of their this client, their reasoning was, I want to be able to put my stamp on the resale home because I
mhm.
can fix it up, I can do certain things. Yes, you can, but that also costs money to do those things. So then when you're able to see, I can have this new home and not have to do anything, make certain changes here and there, but it's still going to cost me less than that would have cost.
Yeah.
You're like, okay, this makes sense financially.
Yeah, and again, I think there's a house for everybody, and every circumstance is different. So, what's something that people should consider that maybe they don't think about when they're moving to, let's say, let's go with rural. When they're moving rural, and they want this land, they want to be outside the city. What's something that they don't consider before they're buying out there?
Their commute to work.
Yeah.
The commute to work. I mean, especially if, let's just say, God forbid, they actually have to work downtown in Austin and they
Mhm.
have to take 35 to get down there.
Yeah.
Well, that's going to take at least 45 minutes just to get down there. And then your way back, you're going to hit the same traffic. So, I mean, the commute is a big thing. I would really consider. The other thing I'll say about people sometimes when you just buy land, a lot of times you think, I'm going to buy the land, we're going to build a house. How many times do you actually see the house be built?
Yeah, that is something we do see because they don't calculate the actual cost
Yeah.
of what it costs to build a house. Yeah, that's true.
Mm-hmm.
The other thing I thought about is that not only going rural, yes, it's nicer, it's peaceful, the commute, um, but also when you want to go to the grocery store, what's open at 11 o'clock at night? What are you gonna eat if you want to go out to eat? You got to come into town. Again, I think you can plan well, right? I think so. A lot of them end up planning very well and have like these giant pantries, but it is an inconvenience that you want to think about. Now, the flip side of that, what's the something that people don't think about when they live in town?
Something they don't think about when they live in town, your utilities.
Yeah.
Some of those that can add up quite a bit, especially Austin water.
Mm-hmm.
That Austin water bill can get expensive. But honestly, I really don't think the utilities are even that bad. But living in town, what's something that you
I'll tell
think?
you taxes.
Oh yeah,
You
of
know, again,
course, of
you live in
course.
Austin, you're going to get less house. A lot of times it's 3 bedrooms, 1 bath, right? It's only 1 bath, you know.
Mhm.
Your taxes are high. You have, you still have traffic, you have noise because the roads and congestion, you have growth all around you, right? So some people might not like that the neighbor rents their house in an Airbnb, so you've got somebody cycling through there
Yeah.
all the time. So I think that's some of the things that can be off-putting about buying in town versus rural. Because rural, man, I'll tell you, we were just in Dripping and some of the most amazing views. It was very common. I was like, I could see how people could live out
Yeah.
here. Now, after 15 minutes, I'd probably be bored and wanted to come in town because that's just me. But for others,
Yeah.
they can like that. So now we talked about commute times and routines. What about schools? What's the difference in schooling when you're going rural, suburbans versus in town?
So definitely school's really important, especially when you have a family, right? You want to be able to send them to a good school. Um, when you are in town, the commute for the kids to get to school isn't going to be as long. They already do have to get up kind of early. I know, like in Austin, school starts around 9 and it doesn't end until 4:30. So if you do have a child who is further away, and the school's further away, then that's going to take more time there. Um, your schools, though, there is still really good school districts outside of Austin. There is apps that we tell our clients to look at as well to get the score so that they can also have knowledge of what schools are around them. Being in the nice thing though, again, with all the schools, they all have these wonderful sports programs around
Yeah.
them too. So that's really nice if your kids are into sports and the after school programs that a lot of them offer.
Yeah, I think the thing you have to understand is when you go rural, yes, the maybe the scores or the tests on paper don't show up as good, but when you look at the community and how they treat your kid as family and how it's like a tight knit community typically, and they do things. people love that. People love that small town feel outside of the city of Austin. When you're in Austin, you're just in this big metro area. Schools are just ginormous. I mean, our kids go to a school where there's over 3,000 kids. So they're just a number, and also the competition and hard, and so I think there's something to be said is when you live in a good neighborhood and you go to a good school, that's a great thing if your kid's going to take advantage. When you're rural, there's just certain lessons that they learn in life and with community that they have a blessing that maybe our kids won't get because we live in a suburban neighborhood.
Yeah, and one thing to add to that is some of these, darn, I just lost the word, after school things that they do, booster clubs that they have. Sorry, the clubs that they have after school. Like maybe here we have a fishing club and a wrestling club because that's what's popular here. However, if you're further out in the country, they have other clubs as well that are going to gear toward the kids in that area and what they enjoy doing too.
So, final question. If you had to choose to live in the city, to live in the suburb, or to go rural with land, which would you choose and why?
This is a tough one.
If you had to start it over.
This is a multi-answer. Okay? So, for my current life situation right now, I want to be in a suburban life how I am. Why? Because I like the school district. I like the community that I live in. My son has his friends. That's important to him. We live close to people. We have a very tight-knit community as well. I think that's important to know your neighbors, have their numbers, text each other, keep an eye on those things for each other. So that's where I would be right now. Once he's done with school, my husband and I have talked, and we could actually see ourselves kind of being a little bit closer to the city if he's going to still be working and he has an easy commute to do that, because it would just be us two at the house. But I also like the idea of living in like Dipping Springs and being in the country with a pool. So I don't know if that really answers it, because I could do a few little things. It just depends on my life situation.
Yeah. I think, everybody is different. But you said it right. For you right now, where you're at, suburban is now. I'm a little different. My first home was in the city when we were younger. So going out to eat, restaurants, shopping, all that was really cool. And then as you got older, going to the suburbs was fine. We're in the suburbs now. I honestly don't see myself leaving the suburbs. We are building in downtown Austin right now, and with the hopes that our son will live there and go to school at UT. But I don't see. But it's funny. We're building in a certain way that if we needed to go back, it would still suit our needs, right? But I don't see myself going back. I do see myself not staying in the house I'm in the suburbs, but probably getting another house, just downsizing a little bit, but still in the suburbs, because I'm a suburb guy. I feel like as much as I've owned ranches and land, and I say I love them, but every time I buy them, I end up going out there, clearing it out, cleaning it, maybe remodeling the old house, shooting off the guns a little bit, and then being like, I'm never going to come out here again because I work day and night. So I end up selling it and making money. So I don't know. I just think that for me, I'm a suburban guy, and that's kind of what it's going to stay at. Just I don't have to be in the great school district, and I don't have to be necessarily so close to Austin, but yet so far away.
So do you think you would actually like move out of Austin though?
No, never.
Right?
Never. Yeah, no. I'm an Austin person. There's no other place. The only thing I could ever see myself going to is the islands. As you know, we love Roatan. Possibly doing more time there on the island, but I love work, and I love Austin. I don't see that changing.
So I couldn't sell you Lockhart?
No, I wouldn't go to Lockhart. Yeah. Again, maybe have a ranch, just to say I have a ranch with a pond, right?
Yeah.
But I think it money-wise, for me, it's not a good investment because I would never use it. Yeah. So anyway, that's a little bit about how we feel here with the team, La Casa Realty Group, and how we see real estate, been doing this for a long time, and how we've seen the changes and the growth in Austin. I think in the end, for me, I would wrap it up with, if you are thinking about buying, it's wise. The first thing that your agent should ask you, your realtor should ask you, is, let's talk about your needs and your circumstances. You might think you need something, but once you start opening up, we're going to be able to figure out what we really need to help you or guide you to see. And I think having a smart agent on your side is the key to finding the property that you want and finding the property that you really need.
Yeah. And we're non-biased. I mean, we want to find what you need and what you want, whatever that may be. And we have some great suggestions for
Yeah.
you as well. So we're just, like he said, we're here to guide you every step of the way to get you into your next home.
So don't forget, follow, subscribe. This is our Knowledge Broker series. You can follow us on YouTube, on Instagram, on Facebook. And if you have any questions, please leave them down below. Send us a direct message. Happy to sit down and talk with you guys.